Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Fantastic Four was released a couple weeks ago, and based on the way they teased Avengers Doomsday in that post-credit scene, it seems more like Franklin Richards is using the power cosmic to help Doctor Doom instead of what most people would have assumed after seeing the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, that it was Doctor Doom stealing Franklin Richards and the Fantastic Four trying to chase him down to get Franklin back. For better or worse, it means some big changes to classic comic book plots, including Doctor Doom's story in the original comics. Based on what happens during the Fantastic Four movie, this completely changes the reason why Avengers Doomsday begins and what Doctor Doom is actually doing, what his actual plan is, and why Franklin Richards seems like he's helping Doctor Doom. What we'll do is explain how the Russo brothers are changing the comic book plot that they're adapting for Avengers Doomsday, which is Time Runs Out in the comics, what Doctor Doom's true plan is, why he's not abducting Franklin Richards from Sue Storm and the Fantastic Four, and why Franklin would want to help Doctor Doom in the first place. One of the other biggest questions that I saw people had after the Fantastic Four movie is how this connects with the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, because they seem like they happen in completely different time periods. So I will explain the actual timeline for when the scenes happen. They are meant to connect. It's just that the Fantastic Four post-credit scene takes place before the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, even though the Thunderbolts movie came out first in real life. The Russo brothers filmed both of those different post-credit scenes on the set of Avengers Doomsday, meaning that they're both scenes from Avengers Doomsday. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. It's not just Spider-Man Brand New Day stuff going on right now. There's still a lot of Avengers Doomsday filming. It's going to be happening for the rest of the year because they're filming Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars back-to-back the same way they filmed Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame back-to-back. The important thing first, even though the Fantastic Four movie released after the Thunderbolts movie in real life, the events of the Fantastic Four movie in this post-credit scene are meant to take place first in the timeline. This is sort of the tipping point that sets off Avengers Doomsday, like things begin now. Doctor Doom begins his plan, puts it in motion. Seemingly, he teleports into the Baxter building and has come to see Franklin Richards, knowing that he has the power cosmic. He takes his mask off. You can see him holding it here. So even though we don't see his face under the actual hood here, Franklin Richards is physically touching his face, and it seems like he's using the power cosmic to heal it the same way that he brought Sue Storm back to life at the end of the movie. You also notice the design language on the mask itself seems like it's more based on the classic 1960s design. Because we're in the 1960s here, everything has that design aesthetic. If it wasn't clear, they're also implying that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom comes from the 828 universe, so all the scenes earlier in the movie of the empty chair from Latveria preventing them from helping with the Galactus plot was his version of Doctor Doom doing all that. Here's the thing though, his Doctor Doom would have seen everything that happened during the movie. He'd been watching all that, so he saw everything with Galactus, he saw Franklin Richards use the power cosmic to revive Sue Storm, bring her back to life, and he heard Galactus talk about the power cosmic out loud, so he knows all about Franklin, and it's been 4 years since that happened anyway, so he's also had 4 years to develop his plan about using the power cosmic, as well as access to Galactus's world ship, Ta-2, for the past 4 years. Remember, Galactus and Silver Surfer were teleported to the other side of their universe, but the world ship stayed in Earth's orbit. Doctor Doom clearly was able to teleport into the Baxter building without the Fantastic Four realizing. It would have been just as easy for him to get aboard Galactus's world ship and start examining it. You remember that he is a scientist on par with Reed Richards, but also just happens to use magic. So what he's probably done for the past 4 years is slowly put his plan into motion and wait for Franklin Richards to mature so that his power, the power cosmic, also matures a little bit more too. Next really big important idea is the Russo brothers always simplify the comic book plots that they adapt. They already revealed that they're adapting Time Runs Out for Avengers Doomsday and a bit of Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars for their version of Avengers Secret Wars. Taking that into account, what is the simplest reason Doctor Doom would need Franklin Richards in the power cosmic? What they're probably doing is having Doom use Franklin as a stand-in for comic book Molecule Man's plot in Time Runs Out and Franklin's subplot at the end of comic book Secret Wars. And because Franklin looks like he's healing Doctor Doom's face, it seems clear that he's trying to help Doom. Doom isn't forcing him to use the power cosmic. Knowing that Doctor Doom saw Sue Storm come back to life with the power cosmic, simplest explanation is that Doctor Doom wants to bring someone or multiple people back to life using the power cosmic, and he needs Franklin Richards' power to do that. There's still a lot of questions about what's going on with his version of Doctor Doom, like who are his mother and father in this universe, because Kevin Feige said that he's not meant to be an Iron Man variant, so he was never Tony Stark, he was always Victor Von Doom in the 828 universe.
Do you even remember them?
That would also imply that he has no Pepper Potts in this universe. There aren't any MCU heroes, like big cameo type of characters that are supposed to exist in this universe. Like there's no version of Captain America in this universe. When it comes to Doctor Doom's parents, I don't think that they're going to try and invoke any kind of Mephisto connections just because Doctor Doom's mother is a long-standing classic comic book plot. It's the whole reason why he wants power. He wants to bring his mother back from hell. Currently, all the MCU Mephisto-related plot seems like it's going to be relegated to Young Avengers, Champions, Ironheart-related stuff. But they still haven't clarified how they're going to explain why he looks exactly like Tony Stark from the 616 universe. That also might be Franklin Richards in the Power Cosmics doing. Maybe when he's healing his face, he just heals him in a way that makes him look like Tony Stark. One of the other reasons why they're doing that is so that he can actually walk around on screen and look like Tony Stark with his mask off. A lot of people wonder, like, why would they take Doctor Doom's mask off? Because that's such an iconic part of the character in the comics. Well, you have to remember that they're paying Robert Downey Jr. like $100 million to be in both of these movies. They want him walking around on screen where casual audiences can see his face and see that it's Robert Downey Jr. So at some point in Avengers Doomsday, he will take that mask off. Keeping in mind that time runs out is Doctor Doom basically destroying other universes to try and stabilize the multiverse, like he wants to fix the multiverse. Why would Franklin Richards be helping him do that? In the comics, Doctor Doom ultimately winds up being unsuccessful. Even though he tries to stabilize the multiverse, killing other universes, it doesn't work, and he winds up having to defeat the Beyonders with Doctor Strange, takes their power to become God Emperor Doom, and then takes the fragments of what remains of the multiverse and creates their version of Battleworld. That is how he becomes God Emperor Doom. So what they're probably doing is replacing the Beyonders plot along with the Molecule Man subplot with Franklin Richards in the Power Cosmic, and that's how Doom becomes God Emperor Doom. He has the Power Cosmic.
New mask. Same task.
Why would Franklin Richards want to help him in the first place? Well, probably biggest reason, he still has the mind of a child, even though he has the ultimate power, as Galactus says. He sensed Doctor Doom's pain, what he lost, and if it's his family, like if he's trying to bring his family back, and the multiverse is broken, and Doctor Doom senses this and wants to fix it, Franklin, probably thinking in the simplest childlike terms, is like, oh, I'm gonna help him fix everything. But it's just Doctor Doom gaslighting him, not telling him the full story. Like, oh, and by the way, in order to fix things, we're going to have to kill a whole bunch of universes. He's going to mow through a bunch of big characters to try and accomplish his goal. So because Franklin Richards is a young child, he isn't thinking about any of that. All he's doing is just helping fix the multiverse. It's just Doctor Doom's plan to fix the multiverse. A really, really hardcore plan. Here's the thing, too. The Russos are also filming both of these post-credit scenes, the Fantastic Four one and the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, on the set of Avengers Doomsday. They're both meant to be Doomsday scenes, meaning that the Baxter Building, also confirmed by Kevin Feige, will appear in Avengers Doomsday, and there'll be MCU characters, other characters from the movie, that are inside the Baxter Building, seeing this whole 1960s vibe. He didn't say exactly who's going to be in that building, but in this behind-the-scenes picture, you actually see Ben Grimm talking to John Walker, U.S. agent, in his costume from the Thunderbolts post-credits scene, like the brand new costume at the end of that movie. And he's talking to Torres in front of this console here, meaning that Sam Wilson's other competing New Avengers team is also there, and Shuri's Black Panther boot is in the bottom of the frame, meaning that the Wakandan characters are there as well, too. It kind of looks like they're on a spaceship, and the design language makes it seem like it's the Fantastic Four spaceship. John Walker loves pushing his buttons, just pushing all kinds of buttons like he's not supposed to. So the idea is that the Fantastic Four post-credit scene is the very beginning of the Avengers Doomsday plot. Doctor Doom and Franklin Richards take off into the multiverse, paying off Sue Storm's quote at the end of that movie earlier when she said that Franklin will go all kinds of places we have no idea where they're going to be. That was just meant to lead into Doomsday. Sue Storm watches Franklin disappear with Doom into the multiverse, alerts the rest of the Fantastic Four, they jump in their spaceship, chase Dr. Doom across the multiverse to try and get Franklin back, and that's how they wind up in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene.
Extra-dimensional ship entering atmosphere.
Extra-dimensional? What does that mean?
They come to the MCU looking for Dr. Doom and Franklin, and that's how they meet the MCU characters and warn them about what Dr. Doom is doing and Franklin Richards' power cosmic. Like, oh, by the way, he has this universe, multiverse ending threat with him, and it just happens to be our son, Franklin Richards. We need to save him. One of the key ideas, though, is that Franklin Richards doesn't really understand the ramifications of what he's actually being used to do. He just thinks that he's helping fix the multiverse, fix all of reality. In one of the good comparisons to make, this goes back to the events of Avengers Age of Ultron. There's a scene where Tony Stark is talking to Bruce Banner, they have their science bros moment, and he talks about wanting to wrap the world in a suit of armor to protect it. Bruce Banner tells him that that sounds like a very cold world, basically like a police state, like you're basically preventing people's freedoms, you're taking that away from them in order to protect them. For a brief hot second, Tony Stark says, would that be so bad? And then obviously because they want it to feel more hopeful, eventually Tony Stark realizes that he had the wrong idea about that, like he was just being way too hardcore. You have to imagine that his Doctor Doom character is like the completely unhinged version of that takes it way too far, and nobody's there to stop him or tell him, no, this is a bad idea, we don't need to do this. He doesn't have the Bruce Banner or the other Avengers family of his, so to speak, to tell him why he's wrong. $500 million later, we have 2 new Avengers movies just because of that fact. What they might do then is use the Void Planet from the Loki series and Deadpool and Wolverine as Dr. Doom's perfect world that he fixes using Franklin Richards' power cosmic to become God Emperor Doom. And he just rules over this perfect world the way that he did in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. This is only half the plot too. There's a lot of other stuff that happens during Secret Wars. We can talk about that in separate videos. We're still kind of in Avengers Doomsday mode. So like that's still the whole time runs out lead up to Secret Wars. There's a lot of other stuff that Marvel is using both of these movies for. It does seem like there's going to be a bigger reboot at the end of Secret Wars just to provide a better jumping on point in Marvel Phase 7 for brand new audiences, just to give it like a real fresh new coat of paint with all the Marvel movies.
No fears, no regrets. Part of the journey is the end.
There have been a lot of questions about the box office on Fantastic Four and if that's going to affect anything about Avengers Doomsday or the Marvel movies going forward. I might talk about that in a video in the next week or so because there is a lot of stuff that Marvel is probably going to change going forward because the days of billion-dollar box offices on the regular are probably over. That doesn't mean that the MCU is done or anything like that. It just means that they're going to be changing the way that they do things after Secret Wars. Usually the way that manifests is that they just drastically reduce the budgets of the movies they do and they reduce the number of movies that they release. I've already done a much longer video about that. Kevin Feige did a big Marvel Phase 7 panel where he talked about a bunch of different things, not just the reboot, but also some of the upcoming X-Men movies that he's planning on doing, what's happening with some of the other characters from Marvel Phase 4 that we might not ever see again. I've already done a much longer video for that and all the Easter eggs from the Fantastic Four movie, a bunch of stuff the past couple weeks, links for all that stuff in the description below. And I just did a couple videos for all the Spider-Man scenes that we got our first look at. Click here for all of those and click here for that Avengers Doomsday first look too. There were a bunch of teasers the past couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.